Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tentacles everywhere, viruses everywhere. It's time again. It's time for another Alternative Tentacles bATcast. And I am your host once again. They have pulled me out from being the least popular Tsunami Bomb member to actually being a host of this podcast once again to introduce you to the wild, weird, wonderful world of Alternative Tentacles. And today is a very special episode. We have General Manager Freya Yamamoto back. Hello, Freya.
Hello.
And we are doing what we had promised about a month ago that we were going to do as many episodes as we get, depending on how many records we got. We are doing a demo derby. Now, for those of you who don't know and are just listening for the first time, the whole point of this episode is that we are trying to go beyond just putting out records that Jello Biafra selects and puts out. And we offered to everyone that instead of just submitting demos directly to the label, to Jello Biafra's attention, because in the end, at Alternative Tentacles, Jello Biafra is the final word on what gets signed. Freya and I can advise, some of the rest
Yep.
of us can advise, but it's really up to Jello. So Frey and I came up with an idea of a way to help a lot of bands out there was to offer anyone who was interested to send the bATcast their demo. We would select a song, we would listen to the song and talk about it, and no matter what, whatever we think, we will still submit it to Jello at the end. And we
Yep.
got a bunch of really cool submissions. I did not hear them.
I haven't listened to
I
anything yet. This is all
we've
fresh,
yeah,
going
fresh
in
years.
blind
I've
100%.
100%.
Or I guess
I'm
deaf, I
going in
guess
blind. Well,
instead.
okay. There's two songs here
Okay,
that
I knew some of the artists. Okay, that's not fair. I did recognize artist names. That's
I
for
have
some of
two
them.
artists here that were, and we'll get to their story when we get to them, that I do know their music, I have personal connections to, and they dared us to include them for a reason. I also was a little disappointed because Ralph Spite from Victims Family, Jello Biafra, and the Guantanamo School of Medicine and the
Yeah.
Freak Accident saw that we were doing this and threatened to send in a track, and then didn't. And I'm
He needs
going
to
to
go through.
push.
He needs to go through with it.
Well, he talked to Jello directly. I mean, he's in Jello's band and he's a
Yeah.
longtime artist on AT. So he's already set up that he's delivering music to Jello directly because he's interested in seeing what the
Yeah.
label might do with the new Freak Accident record. But I'm going to push him to send one in because I'm pretty sure this is going to be more than one episode for the amount
Oh
of
yeah.
demos that we have. So if you don't hear your demo today, we'll be doing more and you'll probably be on it if you send it to us. A couple people also wanted to send in physical ones. So I gave them the information on how to
Mm.
send us a physical item if that was their choice. But these are the ones that sent in digital. So yes, fresh ears, didn't really listen to these. There's two I know, and I'll explain why we're playing them and who they are when we get to them. But big note to everybody listening. What we are not doing here is slagging any of these bands. I don't know what we're about to hear for real. I might get
Mm-mm.
blown away by everything today. I have
Yeah.
no idea. Or it might be awkward. Or it could be rough. I'm gonna be Freya and I have talked about how we're going to be honest, but
Yeah.
we're not looking to denigrate or make anyone or slam anybody's music. And I implore everyone who's watching by the time this gets up on YouTube, that is notoriously rough, and on our podcast comments and anywhere that we post it in social media, please be gentle. These are people's
Yeah.
dreams. I remember one time, I know I've been talking a lot. I remember one time I was on tour with a very big band, not on Alternative Tentacles, but like an
Mm.
enormously popular band right now that I've known for a long time. And I found out that when people handed them demos, they would play a game. I forget what they called it, but they would call it like freeway target practice. And it turns out they would
Oh.
take the CDs that people would give them, they wouldn't listen to them. And fair enough, they weren't a record label. They were just
Yeah.
musicians and they were just a band. But this was years ago. And they are nice guys, but this was not a nice thing where they would try to hit road signs with people's demos.
Oh.
And I remember thinking like that could have been me. And once upon a time it was
Yeah.
you. I was like, that's a really shitty thing to do. And it really bothered me. I've never forgotten it. I'm not going to out them.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of good things. They've even done a lot of good things for young bands, but they were not interested in these demos. And it really, really bothered me. So just keep in mind, everybody listening, that all of these people are being very brave and they're sending their stuff in to a podcast for a label they're not signed to. They just want to get attention. We're going to try and give them attention. We're going to try and give them shout
Yeah.
outs. We will give them honest critiques, but we are trying to be kind. And everything that we're getting submitted today will be given over to Jello Biafra for him to listen to,
Yeah.
as promised. So I just want to say, be nice because I don't know,
Please.
maybe it'll all be rad, but like just remember these are real people and they're listening and they're reading and it's
Yeah.
tough. Like I'm used to reading terrible things about me, but not everyone is.
I've
So
read, I get to, yeah, that's why I usually stay out of our comments. I've definitely read things both personally and not even just from us, but like, I mean, I've been around the music a while and stuff like that, and even worked with other artists. And it always sucks to like, I mean, and it's, I would like, yeah, there are things that are going to be personal taste or going to be something else that maybe it doesn't hit with me, but like somebody spent time making art, like, and put their, hopefully put a lot of effort and put their, heart and soul into something. And like, I don't want to crush that. I mean, there could be critiques about mixing or other things like that, or
yeah.
pacing. There's like all kinds of things I can trick you on that's not necessarily, and also like I don't know, like I mean, even me, like you and I have talked about like Tsunami Bomb stuff or other demos and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that, and it's like I'll give you critique. I'm not gonna like sit there and bash the thing, but I'm going to give you like here's my like thoughtful critique of like okay, maybe like going forward, this is maybe what could be done here, and it's also like take my like you could also be like no, I hate that idea. We're not doing that. And I'm like, that's 100% valid. You don't have to listen to me. I'm also not a musician, really. I am just someone that really likes music and spends a lot of time working in music and art. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of always like, yeah, I do run this record label, but like I also take my opinion of any of these songs with a grain of salt. I am just one woman. I'm not, and I have my own weird personal tastes that are sometimes similar to Jello's and sometimes way off the beaten path of his even.
A hundred
So,
percent. We are not, no one is claiming to be experts here, but
oh
both
yeah,
of us have worked in music for a very long time. I am a musician. I am a
yeah,
songwriter. I am somebody who's released a number of records on a number of labels. And so I will be approaching it from that perspective. But also, I want all of you to keep going. Like, no matter
no,
what I
yeah,
hear today, how rough or how great, I'm going to tell you, keep going. Whether it's
yeah.
right for AT or not, or
I mean,
whatever I think, I implore you all
this
right
is all.
now. This is awesome that you did this. This
Oh
is
yeah,
awesome you sent it in. I grabbed as many as I could.
there
Um,
there are also things that like
just
I
try.
constantly come across where I'm like, this doesn't fit AT, and like, but every so often there are sometimes things where I go like, oh, it'll fit this label though, or it might fit here, and that's the thing that I always try and take into like you should also take into
Yeah,
consideration. This is with the perspective of it fitting in AT's specific wheelhouse.
100%.
There's tons of things that go into that, and like even consideration beyond music of like what fits into AT's wheelhouse currently and what we're looking for in artists versus like some other labels are even small, like smaller labels or larger labels are looking for certain things as well. And they have criteria that they're kind of working towards getting an artist towards when signing. So it's like thinking about like a ton of different things can go into that of, that are behind the scenes. So even if we do like a song or we do like something else, there's a ton of other factors that go into that too with an actual getting signed to AT or any label.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Right.
but
So
yeah,
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 yeah. So
speak.
everyone just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
We're just two people, but we're definitely not here to
But
destroy
I'm
dreams.
also, yeah, and I
We're
think
here
I'm
to
also
encourage.
excited to hear. I took this as like a opportunity to be like, like also like for people who wouldn't normally think, or sometimes they submit stuff and like there are tons of things that come in and are lost to the ether, especially if it's digital versus like a physical thing. Because I know if it's physical, Jello definitely listens to all of those, but I know there's a lot of times where if it's something that is like nice or anything like that, and I'm like, this is cool, but like if which is coming to us, he wants it to be burned to a CD or burned in some way so that he can listen to it physically. And sometimes those things, don't happen or there's not somebody to do it at the time. So it doesn't get listened to for a while. This is kind of more of a intentional exercise and taking certain demos and taking the demos that we've gotten submitted in a certain time period and being like, hey, we've gotten a bunch of these. These are some potential opportunities that maybe we should look into. If not, maybe, it's also ultimately up to him. And I've submitted things to him that I thought were like probably right on the money, or like the reasoning behind them I thought made great sense to me, and I thought they fit AT, and then Jello would be like, nah. And I'd be
Yeah,
like,
definitely
sometimes
stand.
it's just that, nah. And I'm like, really? Okay, cool. I've also
Yeah,
had
I
him
mean,
give,
I've had some wins, and I've
oh, yeah.
definitely had some wins. The darts is a big win
Oh,
for me.
yeah.
Like that was one. Jesse Townley, the GM before
Yeah.
us, his, like Arnold Core was a big win. Like there
Yeah.
are ones that get through and that are really amazing.
There's some cool, I mean, like, and most of the
Yeah,
signings, I guess, under me at least so far, have been either brought by
awesome.
Jello or there have been some other ones that I really like. We're so close. I really, really wanted.
Yeah,
There's a couple that I would. I
you've
can't
been a
ever.
strong guiding hand to the ones that he's brought in, though. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's usually what
excited.
I like. The ones that he brings in, I usually like. I've also like. It's been nice to work with them because it's also really fun to get to know them, and I have been fans of them. So like, it's one of those things where it kind of
Yeah,
pulls me in a
like
different
Moms with
direction. Some
Bangs, Wheelchair Sports Camp, Culture Shock,
yeah,
and Dead Pioneers has all
years.
have all benefited from a lot of your effort.
Yeah, and I like. I mean, I like all of them. They're all great, and they're all different too, which is the thing that I like. I don't know. Something
They're
about
all Jello
AT.
finds. Those were all Jello
Oh,
finds. So,
yeah, and they're
but let's get started. We
yeah,
should we should introduce people to stuff. Let's hear
yes.
some music. So, okay, so right off the top, I'm going kind of in the order that we received them. And one of the first things we got was called a band called Laughing Matter. And the song that we're going to be listening to is called I'll Gladly Lobby You Tuesday for a Genocide Today. This was sent by Scott Foster, and he describes it as a DIY project based out of San Francisco, California. So they're local for us called Laughing Matter. Laughing Matter was formed in San Francisco, California in 2015 after playing a string
Oh,
of shows in the city as a very loud act. Laughing Matter has returned with a new batch of songs from trashy punk and hardcore tunes to dark garage and heavy bassline anthems. I like everything he just said.
I was gonna say
Um,
that sounds cool. I'm interested.
yeah,
I haven't heard of them before, but I also like
I
I don't
haven't
know.
either. I haven't heard of
It
them
doesn't
either.
say anything about the band at all. Like they could be playing the Midway for all I know. Like there's bands that play all over,
Yeah,
even
me
locally,
not
that I
knowing
have no
about
clue.
them means nothing. I spent a
Yeah,
ton of time on the road and I missed the fact that the hardcore band Ceremony grew up in my backyard and started doing amazing right
that
under
is
my
so
nose.
weird to me because I always forget that too.
I
I
was
forget a lot
on,
of things.
but I was on tour the entire time they were coming
Yeah.
up. So, it's
Also, I
the
will admit, hardcore is a genre that I also don't listen to a ton, and so like at least going to hardcore shows, I don't spend a lot of time at hardcore shows specifically necessarily. That has become under AT. That has definitely become a difference than my general like personal listing. But like,
yeah,
yeah,
I'd
it's
like
one
to
of those things.
expand hardcore on the label
I
very
also
much.
think
Hardcore and metal, I'd like to hear more of that on
the
the
heavier
label.
stuff, especially even like AT stuff, I've gotten into way more and has helped me get
Mhm.
into certain things because of just the interesting nature of like what we have signed versus like sometimes just more like mainstream hardcore in certain ways, or things that I've seen get popular, especially from like the East Coast and other like hardcore areas or stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
So they have a site called laughingmatter.com. Laughing Matter was a two-piece band that now mostly operates as a solo recording project, but still plays as a two-piece at times. So that might explain why we haven't heard. I will say
yeah,
everything that he's described that it is, I like. So
yeah.
we're going to take a listen and we're going to play it for you guys and we'll talk about it after. But this is Laughing Matter. I'll gladly lobby you Tuesday for a genocide today. We're going to listen to it right now. You guys are going to listen to it too, and we'll be back to talk about it in 1 minute. Okay, that's that was that was awesome. That felt
I
kind
like
of, yeah, I liked it. It was very exactly what he described.
Yes.
and it felt very Bay Area. It reminded me of like the Phoenix Theater and Gilman Street shows and
Oh
bands that I
yeah.
would see growing up.
It definitely feels a lot like that. I I liked the like underlying bass line. I think it could have been
The bass line
may-
was really cool.
maybe a little less cleaner, or maybe just a little bit like I'm trying to think of what I could just see something on it a little bit, but like I thought overall, like
It's very
yeah, I thought
home. It's a home
yeah.
recording.
Oh yeah,
It feels like
totally.
a home recording. I
Oh
hate to
yeah,
say
no.
that. And that's not a read because I
No.
do home recordings too, but it feels like a demo home
It
recording.
does. And I don't mean that I don't think that's
Yeah.
necessarily bad. There's like critiques that I'm like, okay, like if this is gonna be a song to release, this is what I would change about this. But like overall, I actually thought it was too short. I actually was like, dang, I really wish this song was like another minute because
Well, that's a
I
hardcore influence right there.
oh
That's the
totally.
keep it short, short and sweet and hit
Oh
it.
yeah.
I like this a lot.
Yeah.
Like I think it has a lot of potential, and the potential comes in with like developing it out the idea into a
Yeah.
proper band because I know it seems to be a two-person project that's like a solo project. Like I'd like to see it kind of
Yeah.
filled out.
Yeah, I definitely think
Um,
at least a three piece in here, like, because I definitely think like the guitar, like having the bass and like a full, like, and some drums, like, I think you would like a three piece hardcore band, like, this would be a sick
yeah,
little set for like people. And I think like realistically, I could see like, I definitely see if it wasn't just a home, like more home recording project now, or just like a two piece, but I also know that Jello personally does not like two piece bands as much, which is just kind of a thing about him randomly. I don't understand it because I
I
don't
don't
have
know
this.
why either. One of his statements would be like, I mean, it's very deliberate.
Yeah.
It's very much exactly what it is, and I can think of a number of bands
Yeah.
that this fits in with, and I think that his this is not what he'll say.
Yeah.
This is just what I would assume he would say is that he would think, expand it out, make it a full band, work on your songcraft, bring in some more elements that are
Yeah.
unexpected. One of the best advice that Jello ever gave me and ever talked about songwriting, and I've said it before in the bATcast, but was that when Dead Kennedy started, they weren't trying to be a punk band.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to be a hardcore band. They weren't trying to be anything. They were just trying to be a good band. And they
Yeah.
pulled from so many different influences of the members to find that medium place that they could be original and exist in the space they wanted to exist. And that's where the sound of Dead Kennedys come from. And that's very similar to what Tsunami Bomb did in our own way, whereas we were trying not to sound like anybody else. So the advice I would give, first off, Scott, great job.
Oh
Laughing
yeah.
Matter is pretty cool. I think you're onto something. I think there are a ton of people who would like this, and I'm not sure if they've heard of you, but I hadn't, and I think you should get it out there, especially in the Bay Area. I think people
Oh
would
yeah.
really
I
love your
think
music.
this will do well. I've also like was thinking of a bunch of other local like two pieces. Most of them are pre-pandemic bands, I think, for the most part that I
Hmm.
know that I was thinking of. But like it kind of reminded me of, and so these are more rock influenced or punk, but like it was a little bit like Minnie and the Bear, who were like a two piece that played around the Bay, which was cool. And there was a few others that are like, I have no clue. I don't actually know who Scott Foster is, so I could name some band. He could have been a part of it for all I know. But like
Yeah,
them, the Broncos were another two piece that I really loved. But they like I think like this is something where I was like, this is awesome, solid hardcore to me, but I would almost want to see like I want to see like take another step basically in some
yeah,
direction because I think that's the only thing is like this is like straightforward. Like I'm like this is great, this is solid for what it is. But I would say like especially for AT is like take a step in another direction and just like kind of go a little bit that way and add something else like I don't know, a flamenco hardcore band like is I don't know what that would sound like at all, but like thinking of something of like adding an element that feels authentically you but also like is something that's going to differentiate you from like every other hardcore band that is
yeah.
out there because that's the other thing is like when you're trying to sound like the genre that you're in I feel like you kind of end up becoming like too much of that in a lot of ways, or you just like lean on the
Yes.
tropes a lot of the time. And there's like, I mean, I will say there's a lot of ska bands or oi bands or other things like that that tend to like you fit in this like genre and you're just kind of like they just it's all the tropes at some point and you're just like okay cool that's great I like some of those things too don't get me wrong
Yeah.
but like there's sometimes where I'm like yeah but is this could be a real big fish song or a Goldfinger song or any of these things and it could have been any of these bands that wrote it, I might not have guessed, especially in the ska genre. I could have been like, you could have told me this was anyone, and I would have been like, oh, okay, cool. Like some of those
Yeah.
definitely are different. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm making very broad generalizations here, but that's kind of what I
Yeah.
was like. I would like you. This doesn't seem to me like I wouldn't say like this could have been any hardcore band to me so far. Like it's not that it's not good or solid for what it is, just that I would love to see an element in there that feels different.
It
Um, so
needs that extra step. It
yeah,
needs they need to keep going. They're
yeah,
on to something. I will
yeah, well,
also
yeah.
say that I cannot find any. They didn't send any links, so I don't have any
Okay,
links to share
yeah,
about this to direct people to. But the laughing matter that I found one in Denton. I found one in Mesa, Arizona, and it's
yeah,
not here. So Scott, if you're listening, and I hope you are, get a presence.
yeah.
Maybe think about expanding your band, work on your live show because the live show is very important to Jello. That is often
And
what
me
will
too.
sell him on something. And
I
Freya and
I
me.
mean, yeah, I
Um,
also like Jello and I are very on board. Like usually like I want to see it. We both want to see a band before we would like fully sign anyone. Like that's the one thing with a couple like one of the bands that we were talking to, I was sick when I could and see them when they were here. And so like that's one of the things where I've been trying to talk to them and be like I like the recording, like the recording's great. It's just like trying to understand their live show a little bit. And I can look at video. It's just not the same as being there in person.
yeah.
I've gotten told that I look like upset when I'm at shows, but it's because I get into this like really like I'm
Yeah, because you're
ADHD.
focused. You're
Well, it's because I'm focused
focused.
and I'm also like taking in a lot of the like crowd and like how everything's developing and how does the show feel. And I'm very like analytical there and like a work mind of like, okay, like so what's going on? How does the crowd respond to this? Because like there's also like a lot of crowd feedback that feel like and the energy and how does the band respond to that if the show's going well, if the show's not going well and like things are going wrong, like how does the band keep the show going? Like that's an important thing. Like because there's some bands that like you're great, but if the show just kind of like goes off the rails and you can't get it back to where you want your show to be, like it
Yeah,
just like it
exactly.
can kill the mood like instantly. Like I've seen bands that can recover really well and they play with it, or they like, you know, strings break and like you're like, okay, cool, we gotta like go through the motions and get a new guitar or
No,
restring stuff.
that's
And
all
like those
part of it. Like we're looking
yeah,
for
but
people who can kind of handle themselves on the road
yeah,
in front of and can deliver a show.
yeah,
Scott, Laughing Matter is rad. You got a
cool.
great start here. This sounds like classic Bay Area hardcore. I think it's really cool. You're obviously pulling a bunch of stuff. It's a little straightforward. I would think about songwriting wise, adding extra elements that are unexpected to help kind of develop your songwriting, expand the band, take it out of your bedroom,
Yeah,
or out of the garage. Maybe think about getting a couple of people and start playing some shows, man. This is
yeah,
good. You should be doing something with this. So we would like to see, we will give this to Jello, and I think he won't have a negative response to this, but his first questions will be, they need to get a little more. I want to hear more uniqueness in their
yeah,
songwriting to stand out from the crowd. And what shows do they have? What are they doing at? I couldn't find your presence. You didn't send
yeah,
anything to us. So it's like you definitely need a presence for people to find. And if I get some from Scott, I'll probably write him and go, "Hey, do you
yeah,
have anything?" And then I'll add it to this show. But like,
yeah.
great.
That
The
was a good
first one,
first one
I
was
liked it.
awesome. I was
Yeah,
like
great start.
I was nervous.
And
I didn't know where we were going. I mean, the song title alone was awesome, so I was figured it was going to be good. But also, like, you never know. We could get something that surprises
oh
us in
yeah,
a weird another
Jello would
way.
love this title. Like
Oh yeah,
this is hilarious. Like I'll gladly lobby you Tuesday for a
Tuesday
genocide
version.
today. I mean, great
Yeah,
Popeye reference, but like
yeah,
seriously, that's great. Tongue in cheek, not taking itself too seriously.
yeah,
You're on a good start, man. This was a
yeah.
great beginning. Keep going. That's what we say. Okay, moving on. Now we're moving to the Unmarked Tapes.
Okay.
Everyone's dicked over. This was sent from Christopher Purcell from Akron, Ohio. The name Unmarked Tapes is a tribute to forgotten recordings, the cassettes, CDs, and files left behind over decades, often without names or context, yet filled with meaning. My music is born from that same spirit, raw, unpredictable, unbound by convention. I played several Cleveland area bands during 1990s and 2000s, including Curmudgeon, The Confidence, Interval, sorry, Swell Bean, and Miss Melvis and the Buford Pusser Experience. Pusser Experience. Influences include Captain Beefheart, Devo, The Residents, Butthole Surfers, Alice Cooper, The Jesus Lizard, and King Diamond. I like all those.
Those are some good influences. I'm not.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's aggressive, noisy, wild.
yeah,
Unmarked Tapes follows no rules. Some albums are instrumental, others are concept based, some sound polished, while others resemble field recordings, and the release stands on its own terms. I write and record daily. The track I'm submitting, Everyone's Dicked Over, is one of my newest and will appear on my next album. I'm excited to share it with you and truly appreciative of the opportunity to exposure. I spend far more time creating albums than promoting them. I know that feeling. I think I'm the opposite nowadays.
yeah,
So
me
thank
too.
you for taking the time to listen. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for
Nice.
sending it,
So is this a
Chris.
solo act or
Mhm.
is this
I think it might be.
okay?
That sounds
Cool,
what it sounds like. It's a solo act because it sounds like this is something they do. They have an Instagram, the Unmarked Tapes. So let's take a listen to Everyone's Dicked Over
cool.
and see how we like it. Right. That was Unmarked Tapes, Everyone's Dicked Over. Christopher Purcell from Akron, Ohio. That was really interesting. I wasn't
Oh yeah.
expecting that. That felt like more like the experimental noise
No, yeah.
rock scenes that I've been exposed to, and it really was never my area of expertise. So it's gonna be hard for me to completely weigh in because this is specifically a style of approach of utilizing like an experimental noise approach to music
Oh
to,
yeah.
even discordant elements to create something
I definitely feel like I've
more.
seen like this that like a noise show around Oakland kind of feeling and like not and I think that's it's
This
one of
is
those
not a read. This is a style.
no,
Like
this is
this
a
is
style.
like,
This is also
yeah,
something that like
in the
I have a hard
underground
time.
shows in Oakland. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a hard time judging it too because it's like to me this is more of a personal art poetry kind of feeling than it is like meant to be a commercialized song or like something that's like that in a way or like this is a song that's meant to be or it's not so like melodic structure. There's a lot of other things that are going on with it that are like there's some cool asynchronous stuff that's kind of going on with like the drum beat and like the different timing signatures and stuff that I
There was
really
things
like.
going on that that grabbed my ear, and I did
Yeah.
like I liked the lyrics.
Yeah.
I guess what I would say is that while this is probably not in the wheelhouse of Freya or myself per se, it's not that we don't know what this is. That doesn't mean it isn't an alternative tentacles
Yeah.
style release, but I would say if you're aiming for an alternative tentacles place, um, you probably want to think about getting to the point a little faster.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of intros and discordant like things that come
Yeah.
together. I would also think about while you're doing a noise delivery, I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to like put a
Mm.
hook in it, but you
Yeah.
do want to have some sort of, I would recommend that
Mm.
the most successful experimental noise songs and music that I've heard have had sort of a really some sort of rhythm or melody or thing that comes back and
Mm.
weaves in around the song to help anchor someone. So you're not just off in space.
Mm.
But then again, if this was like if this is more of an approach of a super experimental, like you said,
Yeah.
poetry over the top of discordant because everyone's getting dicked over,
Yeah.
then you don't want to do that necessarily. That's not the approach of this at all.
Oh yeah.
But, this is a very specific niche scene, and it's not that
Yeah.
alternative tentacles couldn't get behind something like this. It's just that you would have to think about how you bring in people who
Yeah.
would not get this. How
Yeah.
do you hook them
That's definitely
and
like the commercial
hold them?
aspect of it, especially with like thinking about this as like a release on a label, especially not a noise label, because there are labels that are specifically in the more
Yeah.
noise like stuff, and they're like specifically in that, and they have a fan base there. I would say this is like one of those things where like we have definitely will do things that are weirdly out of like I would say some of our wheelhouses in certain ways, which was really cool, but it also makes it harder in a lot of ways to keep an album successful in everyone's eyes because of just like when you have a certain like okay these are the people that we reach out to, these are the things that we can do, and this is our connections, and this is kind of the general like marketing and other things like this, and it's like cool we could try and do as much as we can, but like there are things like similarly that I think when trying to do stuff like this that it becomes harder to sell them. Doesn't mean they're bad by any means. There's a lot of things
Oh
that
no,
don't
this
sell that are great. um
yes, for
my
sure. And we're not
but
talking and when I just want to make a note while you're
oh
just
yeah.
insert like while you're talking about when you say things like commercially and stuff, like for Alternative Tentacles fans, like
Hmm.
we're still Alternative Tentacles. Like
Oh
Jello's
yeah.
approach to this label is like if we don't put it out, who would? We need
Oh
to give
totally.
a
And
home to
I
things. But we are still trying to introduce artists and music to people. And in order
yeah.
to succeed at that, we have to bring in new people either through the shows that the artists play, the music that grabs people and brings it
Hmm.
in. And I would say that Everyone's Dicked Over is very, very much an experimental noise
Hmm.
project that is, there are a lot of really cool things.
Yeah.
Everything was discordant, and I liked that in it. I found myself charmed to it,
Hmm.
and we could do stuff like that. It's not it's a little trickier, at least based off that
Oh yeah.
song, to
I
find a home and find where we
oh
put it
totally.
and how we get it to people and get people to get into it, because
And
we
I
have
think
tough sells.
oh totally. And there's things that like when I say like oh commercially viable, even like for AT, like my job at the label is to keep us afloat. in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that I think about like of selling records that are not Jello's concern, are not necessarily the label's like
No.
full concern. There are things that like that my opinion of like making sure that like certain things happen for releases and stuff like that, or making sure that everything is viable to keep the label afloat, because that's what I spend a lot of my day focusing on, is making sure that, you know, accounting happens and other things like that, and like everyone else is able to
Hmm.
be successful with their job. So like there's a lot of things like this where I'm like, oh, marketing this might be really hard. And it's also just hard when you're the first, like you're the first thing that we do for anything. Like if we were to, when the first hip hop album, I'm sure that when we did
Chili
that,
B.
Chili B was a much harder time necessarily for some of our connections at the time, or who was doing publicity and marketing at the time, to make
Yeah.
connections, because we didn't have those before. And it's not to say that that's not a fun challenge, but it does make things more complicated when you don't have some of those rapport with the people that are doing press, or you know, the certain other people, or now with like people that are doing playlisting on Spotify or other streaming platforms and all the other stuff. It's just like
Right.
not having those connections just make everything harder. And that's not to say that we couldn't do it, just that it would be a challenge, more of a
I would
challenge.
look at other
So
noise label and other
yeah,
experimental bands to try and get yourself in that scene more with those people. And I
totally.
know it's tricky, but using online, going online and finding those scenes and reaching out to those artists that are doing this kind of
Yeah,
thing is a really exciting thing, and you should think about. But I mean, just to case to Freya's point, we
yeah.
just put out a Exotica record, Voodoo
Oh yeah.
5. We've never done that before.
Oh yeah.
We do not have I don't have connections to any Exotica scene that I can promote that record, but when they came to AT, Skip Heller knew that he was coming to Alternative Tentacles,
Yeah.
and he covered Dead Kennedy's Moon Over Marin and turned it into an Exotica song and put
Yeah.
Jello on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you subvert the conversation and bring it into you? So I guess
Yeah.
that's what I would say, Christopher, is that I think that what you're doing is really
Oh
fascinating and
yeah.
it is interesting. I think that think about how you bring in other people,
Yeah.
perhaps consider making it like, and then also the live show would be a big impact on this
Yeah.
because with so many things discordant, are we seeing something when you perform that we've never
No.
seen before? So really think about that. I don't know if you're writing record daily,
Hmm.
so it sounds like you're not playing shows as
But you're
much,
doing a
maybe.
lot of, you're making a lot of stuff. And like that's really
Yeah,
awesome. So like,
that's
I mean,
awesome. Like,
and I will
you know,
say, like, this songwriting wise, I am very particular about things that, like, the first, like, 30 seconds need to catch me. And if they don't, I tend to not be as interested in a song,
I
honestly.
mean,
And
it's the
I think
short
it's just,
attention spans of
and I don't
now
even,
is a
oh, yeah.
reality.
But I also mean that as, like, the, like, going in and having a like getting to the point kind of quickly. Even like some of the intros, like I will say that even when they're drawn out and long, they at least are capturing the attention. And I think that's something that I kind of missed, is I didn't feel like there was something that like grabbed me and like almost immediately and like like commanded me to listen. And there's a
Yeah,
few
like
songs, like there's songs,
a piano riff or
yeah,
a guitar riff or some
just
thread that wove
yeah,
itself throughout the
because
whole
like
thing. I mean, this is it when it's all discordant.
yeah,
Jello, I will say, he is a big fan of melody and
oh yeah,
of you know, he wants to hear some things come together. So even if you're going to do a very discordant thing, maybe
yeah,
consider moments where it all comes together and fits and then explodes out again. I
yeah,
mean, there's ways to do it dramatically to hook people in and expose them to this kind of music.
yeah,
And I would consider that, Christopher,
yeah.
while you continue to
I think
develop the unmarked tapes.
Yeah, I think there's some cool, like I can definitely see, like, especially with your, if you're writing so much and doing so much different stuff, like I'm sure this is a taste of what you've done. So like there's probably something else in there that I'll be like, oh, well, this was the thing that I would have submitted. Maybe. Who knows? Like we
Yeah,
all make different,
he admitted that everything is different. He does
yeah.
this is his
And
artistic
he's been
outlet,
doing this, he
creativity.
said, since then. I may have missed 90s or so, like, or 90s, early
Yeah,
2000s.
I
Like so
love that.
like that's great.
Uh,
Like he's got a lot of experience. So I'm not saying, like, I don't think he's a bad songwriter by any means. I just think that like
no, he's very creative. This is obviously an
I can't
intentional
even,
approach,
yeah, I can't
but
write or draw. I can't draw daily like that half the time, or at least not like completed pieces that I would consider like math,
no,
like, or like things like that. So
and Christopher's listening, obviously,
yeah,
so I hope he is. And if you are, Christopher, like seriously, like, tell us to go fuck ourselves because this,
yeah,
you have a project that you're doing and a
All right.
point. And anyone who wants to check it out should definitely check out their Instagram, the Unmarked Tapes,
Yeah.
and from there, I bet you can find more of his music. But I
I also,
definitely think it's interesting.
oh yeah, and I also will say, I definitely think there are things that like to me that are different between um necessarily like art and content, but like things like that where there are certain projects and stuff like that that I like necessarily like I want them to be out there and I think people should definitely be doing them. I don't know that they're necessarily always going to be like the like commercially viable and like also things surprise me like people's side projects and other things like that. Oh, it sometimes blow up all the time, especially in electronic music and other genres and stuff like that where things kind of just go wild sometimes. But like and even in rock and punk and stuff like that it happens. But like it's one of those things where it's like there are things that I would be like, oh yeah, I make this for fun and it may blow up, but like I also think that there's an importance to having a creative outlet. And if you're writing every day, like you're a very creative person. Like so like that's the thing to me is like I may say something is not like commercially viable or it doesn't seem like it's like going to be like a thing that I'm going to see like massively selling. It's not going to be like an arena thing, but like it could be. I don't know how the future is going to go. For all I know, noise is the next big genre that catches on, and I'm like completely out in the cold. I can't predict
Well,
the future. So
well,
like,
I would, if I was him, I would
yeah,
definitely check out the new.
yeah.
We're about to drop Moms with Bangs debut. It's a
Also,
seven
yeah,
inch,
that would be,
and that's a
yeah,
good example of the kind of playing with different tempos and
yeah,
kind of an arrangement of music. It's very lends itself a little bit to like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, as well as Frank Zappa.
yeah.
And I think that I honestly think there's going to be something in there that Christopher would like
Oh
and
yeah.
maybe would get an idea of what we're mentioning in terms of like a certain melody that carries through and a driving nature that does come
Oh,
through the music
I
that I
mean,
think
definitely
would
listening
serve
to
better
the
if
B
you're
side.
trying to get to Alternative Tentacles and
Oh
get
yeah,
Jello's eye. But there's a whole scene for noise, slam
yeah.
poetry, and art projects, and I think
No.
this is
Oh yeah.
definitely that.
I also would say, like, especially for the Moms with Bangs one, like Rega, that track has a longer intro, but that intro, it just like sucks you in, and that's kind
And
of that
and it
thing,
does
and that's
live too.
it does live too, and that's the thing that to me is like that intro. Like I'm not saying to say like the intro can't be long or can't be anything or complicated or any kind of crazy thing there, but I think that the only thing to me is always like getting drawn into a song or like that attention capture. Or, like there are songs that like I can hear the first like couple notes and I'm like, okay, you're like, you know exactly what song it is. And like those are the
Yeah.
things that like feel like make me go, okay, cool. Like I love that when I feel like like, and I'm gonna I don't know. I'm ADHD. I'm probably gonna listen to a song when I really, really love it, like for like 20 times on repeat half the time. So
Right,
like
right.
there's things like that where like when I get into songs, I'm like, we're gonna listen to this for a while. Like it's I'm gonna annoy somebody else by it probably before I get done with it.
Well,
So
thank you so much for sending
yeah.
it in, Christopher. This was a really good, it's a really impressive and it's obviously an incredible art
Yeah.
project that you've created, and I hope you keep going.
Yeah, thank you. Like
Um,
this has been cool so far. I've been like I think we've gotten some cool stuff. Like we've only gotten through two so far though. So
we've only gone through two, so
we're
there's
both
going to be a
pretty
couple
verbose.
episodes. There's going
So
to be a couple episodes of this, so,
yeah.
but we want to take them seriously. So,
No, yeah. I want to give like hopefully feedback that makes sense for people.
so the next one is kind of a fuck you. This is from the Hammerbombs that are based out of Oakland, California. And full disclosure, I am in a band with the guitar player and the drummer called
Yeah.
Loudgraves. Ilya Slobodkin, who has been in a number of bands, Nihilist Cunt and Heartless Folk, and many others. He's been
Dang,
a staple
he's just
of
been in bands that describe him. Is that what? No.
a
I
little
love
bit.
Ilya, but I was like definitely sometimes I've been like, you
he
seem like you
he's
don't want to be here.
he's a bit of a curmudgeon at
He is.
sometimes
He's
he'll
great.
self-admit. He
Yeah.
worked at Gilman for many
Yeah.
many years as one of their booking agents and one of the volunteers there, so
Yeah.
19 for Gilman in Berkeley. He is a staple of the Bay Area scene and an absolutely great guy, but he can be
Oh
kind
yeah.
of curmudgeon.
He can be a
uh
convergent, but I think it's hilarious because he always it'll be like I'm upset about this thing, and then he'll be like, but I'm not gonna stop doing it or like playing shows or anything like that. And I'm like, it'll be like, what? Like music's dead in the Bay Area, but I'm like, you're playing a show right now, and then you're gonna play another one like next week, dude. Like it's, but I just find it funny. I like his vibe,
And
and
that's it. He's an
yeah.
incredibly talented guitar
Oh
player.
yeah.
And the reason that this is here is that the Hammerbombs had submitted to Alternative Tentacles a number of times over the years. Jello acknowledge that they are entertaining and really fun and a great
Yeah, yeah.
band. But I think he gets worried because they're so hooky that it's straying into, he's oddly really afraid of pop punk and being pop punk, though he did sign Pansy Division and Tsunami Bomb and, but at the same time, he is just very cautious. So he has resisted signing this. I will admit that, and this is partly why Ilya joked and dared me to put this in, is that the Hammer Bombs, when Alternative Tentacles have added them to our distro store,
Oh yeah,
it
they've
has
done
sold
well.
very well. In fact, it sells out and we have to order more records, and it sells out and we have to order more records. And we've traditionally moved a lot of Hammer Bomb records.
Yeah,
And Jello knows that, but he has had a complex relationship with just going, I think they're just too hooky. I mean, he also passed on Loud Graves, my other band,
yeah.
because I think he felt like it was going too hooky. So anyway, that's the problem. But they are a fantastic
They're
band.
fun. They're a good party band. Like they always I describe them as like everyone's favorite college band in a lot of ways. I don't think this is a
Yeah,
bad thing at any means. I just feel like they like feel like the like you're at a college party in a movie kind of band, like where you're gonna see like this band that's like clearly like the party is going on around them. Everyone's having a great time and they're just like rocking out and having a great time
their
too. And
shows
they're
are
oh
great.
yeah.
And
So
when they're sober, they play incredibly tight. They're all incredible musicians and really amazing songwriters. And when they're drunk, they play like shit. And then they
and
are
the
hilarious.
it
And the
is.
crowd is dying and crying, laughing
I've
so
had a
hard. That's how
yeah.
funny they are.
And I as a sober person, I even have a fun time with their shows too. So like
Yeah.
it's great. Like they put on a great show and they are solid. Don't get me like I think every time I've seen them, they play a really solid set. They're kind of local staples. So,
They are, and they're
but
really good. So this is a song called "Talk to Me," sung by their bass player Jen,
cool. I must say I
and
was trying to remember
it's
which
off
one. I
their
don't know them.
new album because there's multiple singers in this band.
Yeah,
They all sing, and the album's called "F for Effort," and I did the art for it. So full disclosure. So this is one of two screw yous, and annoyed with us because Jello didn't want to pick this up. But I do think it's a great band and I think it's super fun. So take a listen to it. You can hear them at the Hammerbombs. Drink All Your Beer, I think is their Instagram. And they are on Bandcamp under the hammerbombs.bandcamp.com. So here is Talk to Me off of their brand new album that's on Loud Circle Records out of San Diego. Here we go.
We're both standing at the show, awkward silence, and I know all I want is for you to say one word to me. I keep looking at the back of your head, wonder if I should talk instead, tap your shoulder, or just stand right next to you. I can't tell if I'm a fool, or maybe you're just too cool.
And we're back. Okay, that was the Hammerbombs from Oakland, California with Talk to Me off their album F is for Effort. That's on Loud Circle Records out of San Diego, and it was offered to us, and Jello passed. You know, okay, first off, it's a great song.
Yeah,
If you like driving pop, punk rock, fun, like song, it's great. And it's
yeah,
a super fun band. Their live shows are amazing. Jen is an incredible singer.
yeah.
I love their voice.
Their lines
But
are
I will
the
say,
lines are their bass line is on this song is great too.
yeah, their
So
bass lines are amazing. They are a fantastic bass player. Though I know talk if they were to listen to us talking about this, they'd be like, "Stop it, shut up."
yeah,
But these are friends of mine. I am mad at Fat Mike because Fat Mike
mm.
also passed on this, and
That would have been a decent fit for them. I think they would have fit in well with that.
Fat Records would have been a better place for them. And I know Mike, and I know that he liked it, and he loved it, and he admitted he loved it, and he admitted he enjoyed the show, and he thought it was really great songcraft, but ultimately didn't go for it. I don't know the reason why, but I
Yeah,
did feel that Fat Records would have been a good place for them. I think Alternative Tentacles is so for me, it's a bit of a struggle because I do feel like I don't know if Alternative Tentacles core fan base would love this.
I
I
don't
feel
think
that
so.
Tsunami
Yeah.
Bomb, my band, is not does not do well with the core fan base of Alternative Tentacles.
I would
Bands
agree.
like
Yeah,
the Darts do. Tsunami Bomb sells to Tsunami Bomb fans, and I
yeah.
don't know how many Alternative Tentacle core fans that have been with AT for a long time look at Tsunami Bomb and go, "This is I'm into this," because I
I'm curious
don't
to see who comments now and be like,
maybe
"Hey, I hope somebody does." I'm actually like that's always a curiosity to me, especially when things seem like they're outside of. While we don't have a genre or a wheelhouse necessarily, we do, in a way, feel like there is a little bit of that in certain ways. And I think there are definitely things that our core audience gravitates more towards. I see them respond to more than other
yeah.
things. And so, like, Tsunami Bomb has always kind of sat on that, like, I think, like, that edge of, like, there's definitely things here for the audience, but there's definitely things here that are, like, that I think Jello also has concerns about when he talks about like pop punk stuff specifically. I mean, both of us like pop punk a lot too, but
Yeah, I
like,
don't have a negative
yeah, I don't have a negative thing here.
approach to pop punk that he
But I
does,
definitely
but
think that like something like this feels more like I wouldn't say it's like eight. Like I don't think there's anything here that goes, oh yeah, like there's something that's like there's nothing that stands out specifically that makes me go, oh, this is something that like is very unique that like Jello is going to pick this out and be like, okay, well, they're doing something, they're doing pop punk, but they're doing something else here. Like that's something that I always kind of feel like he kind of gravitates towards. It's never going to be like straight up whatever genre it is. It's necessarily it's going to be someone that's taking something and they're riffing on it and taking it and doing something else with it.
and to be
Um,
fair, with Tsunami Bomb, his
yeah,
argument is Tsunami Bomb doesn't sound like
yeah,
anybody. People sound like Tsunami
no,
Bomb.
no,
Tsunami Bomb
yeah,
is the band, and that means a lot to me coming from
yeah,
him. But I have always felt that Tsunami Bomb is an awkward fit on Alternative Tentacles because while
yeah.
Alternative Tentacles doesn't have a particular kind of music, the fan base is clearly into a heavier, garagey. They have a different approach, and I feel like Tsunami Bomb has elements that they like, but aren't necessarily as evident on our AT
Mm,
releases. And I do feel that's not that we don't represent that. And I feel like Hammer Bombs has that more so
mm.
that problem even more than
More,
we do.
yeah. I think
And
like
I think Tsunami Bomb and Hammer Bombs could be on the same label, but is
mm,
that label AT? And just to wrap up the thought,
yeah,
I feel like um I don't know. I just think that it's unfortunate because the other argument is that alternate there are not a lot of Bay Area punk rock labels left.
no, they're
And
not.
we often struggle. Yeah, I mean, Fat Records has gotten sold to Hopeless.
I mean, they still
And
have the trademark and other things. Like they still yeah,
They're
there's
going
still
to do
some, there's
live
still,
performances, but they're not
yeah,
putting out anything new.
yeah,
And they're
yeah,
going to slowly transfer down to Los Angeles. And like,
yeah.
there are a lot of small one-man shop labels. The biggest being Asian Man Records is still out there. And
I still can't believe Mike runs that by himself, but
yeah,
yeah,
Mike is still doing it after all these years. But my
yeah,
problem here is sometimes I have one thing that I struggle with, and it's
yeah,
going to come up with another band that we're going to talk about on the demo derby at some point, whether
yeah,
it's this episode or next, is that uh, do we struggle with having enough active
yeah,
working bands, and if we're going to represent, like, if we're going to be a Bay Area record label, shouldn't we have a lot of the active Bay Area bands? And by
mm,
virtue of signing them, they will become more active because they're encouraged by being on our label. So it's like, is it worth avoiding poppier things if that's what's out there and working and doing well? Because they do well,
mhm,
but you know, us, I understand the problem that Jello has with it. It's one of the reasons I wonder
mm,
how if Tsunami Bomb is a good fit for AT and how we got on there. But I also go, well, shouldn't we be encouraging, Lookout's not here, Fat's
yeah.
gone into a new form, the, I mean,
There are things that are popping up too. Like that's the other thing is like I out of the like larger labels in the Bay, like there's not that many large or like larger and like
larger includes.
scope. Like I mean, like yeah, I'm like saying
Yeah,
that like we're some massive thing there, but like even Fat wasn't that much in like staffing wise. Like we're not a one man shop by any means, but
no,
like we're
no,
also not like a 20-person team. There's like four of us, five of us right now ish.
yeah.
Like so like it's like one of those things where like I think also people tend to think that like one man shops are like I'm like Mike does that all himself and I still don't understand how he
Asian
does
Man
all
Records, yeah.
yeah Asian Man Records specifically my part I still don't understand like as someone that ran a label by herself like it is insane to try and do it all and to be like consistently doing it every day like it's a wild thing to do like I have a stat like I have there are certain things that I get to just say like this is Dominic's responsibility like I don't have to deal with this or this is John's responsibility or Carrie's. Like there are certain things that I like I'll step in and help with when needed, but like it's there's other things that I have to do that you'd be surprised. I couldn't imagine going back and trying to do it at this kind of scale by myself, like by any means. Like I would just go insane.
I think
But
you have to scale up by the
yeah,
time you get to a certain point. I mean, Andy Pohl, the guitarist for
yeah,
Tsunami Bomb, does sell the Heart Records all by
yeah,
himself, and the singer for Loudgraves and the Applicators,
yeah,
Sabrina Worthington,
yeah,
has Cellophane Records, and she
yeah.
does it by herself. And it's like, it's a lot of work.
Oh
So
yeah. Like I mean, and there's other smaller labels in the Bay Area that do
Loud Circles
lots of yeah.
is Rob from Hammerbombs.
Yeah.
So
And so there's things there that I think that do well and like not to say that you can't do it as a one man shop by any means. I think there's just it becomes a scaling issue at some point and to like how do you move up throughout those ranks. I think you need those like smaller labels to get people to like do stuff to get stuff active and then to get to another level and I think we're kind of end up usually sitting in that like above that level usually a little bit.
yeah,
um
and
and I think that's something that like have bands that can grow through that. Like having that ecosystem is important. And I think that's also a kind of a problem here of late of seeing more like labels getting smaller. Like the amount of labels getting smaller and smaller means there's less like the pie isn't necessarily shrinking, but there are less labels that are willing to take chances on other artists or certain things like that that may even be like their local scene that need that support. Like I think that's
I
kind of one of those things. Yeah.
I would have liked it would if and
Yeah.
again I'm biased because
Yeah.
these are friends of mine and I like their music even before I was in a band with two of them.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to seen us pick them up and a number of other locals that I have suggested over the years
Yeah.
because I would have liked to see us continue to nurture and
Yeah.
encourage the Bay Area scene in all its forms. And while I wouldn't necessarily send the Hammer Bombs out with some of the artists that are on AT, I certainly could have helped create a zone around Tsunami
Yeah.
Bomb, for example, and I think they have played with the darts. There are versions of this
Yeah.
situation that have
I
they
also
could play with other bands that, and I think it would work fine. I just wish that, so sometimes I do wish
Oh yeah.
So I think they're getting their wish. This is kind of a screw
Yeah.
you to make us talk about this, but I do wish
Oh,
we could have developed a little bit of this edge to AT, even if it didn't appeal to
I
everybody
also
at
will
AT.
say that in AT's past, the things that have done well is when we have bands that are like kind of at least in the same like not necessarily genre or like No Means No and Alice Donut and Victims Family and all of them used to tour together, and having that contingent of bands and those kind of rosters that can get on tour together and help each other grow and like make things happen, like having, even if it's smaller pockets that are in certain genres, like being the one and only on a label of a certain genre or a certain like level, all just makes it harder for, like it makes it a little bit harder in some ways because it makes it like you're just kind of over here in this little pocket versus like when we start to get these like pockets that kind of grow a little bit and we have a little bit more to talk about then, and we also develop a lot more expertise. Like there's things like I love Wheelchair Sports Camp. There are certain things about like hip hop that I've learned, like specifically in the way like hip hop recording and some of the other stuff that happens with that for work because of them. um and some that I knew like before, but some is even like more interesting just kind of like as an actual like having to deal with. I haven't had to clear a sample in a long time because most of the artists we work with don't have samples to clear. So
Yeah.
like it was like one of those things where it came up again and I was like, oh, I haven't used this since like years at this point. So it's like doing a cover song is easy, but like clearing a sample that requires an actual negotiation, I was like, it was really simple because it's one of their friends. But like it was still one of those things where like that came up. There's other things like that where, and also like fitting them in with other artists, like we can do that. And they've gotten like, it's always fun to see our how like the darts DFMK and like Wheelchair Sports Camp will play a show and we'll have them together, and like everyone loves all of them, they're all way different. But like even having some things that like creating through lines I've always enjoyed, where we can kind of see like there's a band that sits in between these two now, and like you kind of get this like influencing here and there, and like I think those are always fun to see how those grow, because you can definitely, in my opinion at least, I think you can kind of see when the bands that AT has toured together, you can see things that they've cross-pollinated in their albums and their sets and stuff like that. And so I think there's things like that that are always cool to see. And I think that's kind of the nice thing about not being genre specific though, is like we tend to get sometimes the weirder things that can conglomerate and create something new out of it. I think that's something that I always find super important to see those. I guess I'm going back to the point is like having like somebody in the Hammerbombs and Tsunami Bomb or something like that, or having like two bands that are a little bit more pop punky or something like that. Like having more than one tends to make it to where it's not like our sound specifically, but having more of a cadre that can kind of get together and go out a little bit more, and they're going to overlap a little bit more, and like Tsunami could help bring them up, and they can help another band. Like that's the thing that like that's harder for us to do than like say Fat does, where they're like all their bands are in a definitely
Go together.
go
Well,
together in a lot of ways, and so you
ours
get
do
these
not. We're a
art,
collective
yeah,
label.
and they
It's
get
but
tours together.
you're right.
Yeah,
They can come together in a way that
yeah.
works. I mean, not to say that Tsunami Bomb doesn't share elements with DFMK
Oh
and the
no, yeah.
Darts, and we can do stuff. Wheelchair Sports Camp,
I like also
Culture
seeing them
Shock,
like everybody
Dead
rub off on
Pioneers.
each other, kind of in certain
Yeah,
ways,
like
like
we did
that
a
things
show in
happen.
Denver with a bunch of,
Oh yeah,
Culture Shock, Dead Pioneers, and Wheelchair Sports Camp, and it was fantastic. But
oh yeah.
like, yeah,
And I will
I
say,
just but
I will
this
say
appealed
this though, like
to a
Culture
different
Shock.
version.
Oh yeah, but I was also saying this is like Culture Shock. I think has taken influences from being on AT that had they not been, and had Gino and them not been involved with AT, I don't know that they would have necessarily the next album that they're recording. I don't know that they would have done some of the things
The
they
way
did
they're
on this
doing it,
album necessarily. That's not to say that they might not have. I don't know, but like
it's
after
influenced it.
it definitely is an influence of listening to certain things that are on AT, or like talking to Jello or talking to Greg or talking to you or anyone else. Like, I mean, I'll get. I mean, and Gino's an interest. I love talking to Gino. He always makes me like I've never. He's one of those people that always feels super happy, and
Oh, he's a
I'm like
fantastic performer. If you guys get a chance to check
whatever.
out something different, check out Culture Shock. But
Yeah. But also that's the thing is like seeing hit, like I would never have thought that the album that they were talking about making was what they would have made when I first started talking to them at
yeah,
all. And that's not to say that it's not them by any means. It's going to be a very Culture Shock album, but it's also going to be some influences that I would not have expected them to jump straight towards after this. So
hmm
like I'm super excited for that. But like that's also a thing, like just talking about the cross pollination of artists and like different things that like can just come out of that exposure to new things. Like
Yeah.
there's AT has
And
widened
that's where
my
I was
taste
coming
even.
from with
Yeah,
Hammerbombs at the time when I was trying to lobby for them to come join the AT roster, is that I
yeah,
really felt like it could create another version of that in another
yeah,
area. But Jello was reluctant, and I mean, he's gone to their shows, he's picked up their
yeah.
albums, he has been impressed with their songwriting and their
And
musicality and their band. He does not dislike them.
yeah,
Um,
there's
so
also yeah,
I
there's
would tell
bands that
them, if they're listening,
yeah,
Hammerbombs, you guys are great. I love
yeah,
you, you know that. What the AT loves you. Jello is into it. It was hard for him to get over that fear of
oh yeah,
making AT like fat records, and I think that it was the fat records in you guys that had made him hesitant, and it's the
yeah,
same aspect of that that touches into Tsunami Bomb's music that makes Tsunami
yeah,
Bomb an awkward fit. But I would have liked you guys to be on there. I think they're a
yeah,
great band. If you like what you heard, check them out.
yeah.
Like I said, thehammerbombs.bandcamp.com and the Hammerbombs drank all your beer on Instagram, and they still play shows. They got a brand new album. I did the art for it. It's pretty cool. It's a
Yeah.
messed up Voltron, and yeah, I love you guys. um,
I think I have one more before I gotta move on to a
Yeah,
couple
this
other
is
things.
going
Yeah,
long, which is okay, but
yeah, it's
we've
totally
only
fine.
done 4 of 16,
Yeah,
17, 18.
I was like,
So we're
we're
gonna do one
wordy.
more.
I think
I'm
we
gonna
talked
cut
long
this
on
part
this
out,
one.
but we're gonna do one more.
Yeah,
All right. So
which
moving on, we got we're gonna do one more because we've talked a lot, and I'm sorry everybody, but that's part of it's a podcast. We talk.
yeah,
And we want to give everybody a real honest answer of like what we think and what's going on. So this next one is called Escupiendo Verdades. I hope I said it right. I apologize if I have not. And this song is called Clandestinidad. It was sent in by Gabriel. They're based in Los Angeles, California. They're originally from Guadalajara, Mexico.
ooh,
They've
nice.
recorded 3 EPs: Manuel de Supervivencia Tomo and Manuel de Supervivencia Tomo 2, and the last Semales. They're known for their unique blend of punk, hardcore rock, and other genres. I love that.
Yeah,
The band's lyrics and themes focus on leftist guerrillas from past and present, primarily in Mexico, as well as topics of resistance, mutual aid, veganism, and anti-capitalism. Okay.
okay,
They look to inspire and provoke thought through its music, addressing the social and political issues through a raw, unfiltered approach.
okay.
So,
I'm excited about this. This seems
yes.
cool.
So they have a Bandcamp, ESCUPIENDOVERDADES.bandcamp.com. I will put it below this episode. So definitely check it out. We're going to listen to their song, Clandestinidad, and let's take a listen and see what we think. that was
Okay.
rad.
That was awesome.
That was really good. That was really good. That was like I don't know if they'll like this comparison, but I immediately had a Sisters of Mercy kind
Yeah.
of feel from that bass line. That bass player is a bass player after my own heart. I am a bass player for everyone who doesn't know. I love what they were doing. It was driving the whole song. I really like how the song sounded. The vocals are amazing, but I felt like they were mixed a little high, maybe, and they felt
Yeah.
small when they sh at times when they should have been bigger. But like, I loved what they were doing.
But there could have been like
Um,
some more reverb. There's a couple things I would have suggested for like remixing the vocals into the and also a little bit of the compression on the like instrumentals. But like other than that, like this was solid. Like I think it caught me. Like I was really just like, okay, like yeah, this is. I
yeah,
think I
kind
see
of.
this fitting in with like DFMK and like a bunch of other. Like I was like, okay, I know where this fits. Like easy.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if anything, that's another one where I'd be
yeah.
like, okay, it wears its kind of influence a little on its sleeve, but
Oh,
like it's
totally.
still solid. The production was really good. It's like the Hammerbombs production is really good.
Yeah.
Songwriting's really good. Gabriel, your band
Nice.
is rad.
That's awesome.
Escupiendo Verdades, Clandestinidad. I'm sure I'm still massacring the pronunciation, but
I would
I'm
agree,
sorry for
probably.
being
But I'm also that's also
sincero.
why I'm not taking a chance at it. I was like, I
But
know
like,
my Spanish is bad.
dude, dude, I like this a
Yeah.
lot. I don't know how Jello would react. It definitely makes me want to listen to more things. They definitely have something going on. Their topics of
Yeah.
resistance, mutual aid, veganism, anti-capitalism, that whole approach,
Yeah.
very political, driving. Like I
I
said,
think
I'm a big
it's
Sisters of Mercy fan. The bass
yeah.
line was sick.
I thought that
Everybody
was
was doing a
great.
good
I
job.
think the one thing that I would say, because I think this is something that we were going when we were talking about mixing DFMK and other things like that, or like other things, is like that raw edge that Jello likes a little bit more in the like this is like in a little bit of a way is almost too clean. And that's
I
my
would
only
say,
and almost like
yeah.
that critique because I know that this is something I just went through with the whole like mastering and like mixing and everything like that with that album is like um that he loves that rawness and like that's part of the reason he likes DFMK's stuff. And I think that that's something that I know that when we were trying to get back some of the, or like when we were looking at working on that a lot, like getting through that stuff and like making sure that that felt authentically them and that rawness that they have. That's something here where it almost feels like almost a little too clean produced, and I would love to see a little bit more of like a raw edge to some of it. And I was like, but other than that, like I think it's a great, like you guys have a great foundation.
This is a
Uh,
great, yeah, it's a solid band.
I'm kind
It's
of
good
interested to,
songwriting. I agree with you. I think Jello would want it to be a little more raw and a little
yeah,
more, there's a roughness that has been ironed out of this. And I don't know how to explain it other than
yeah,
sometimes when you are striving for perfection in the studio and you will be advised to strive for perfection in the studio, you can lose a little bit of the rawness because everything you're playing is so
yeah,
intentional and mixed and presented so intentional, it becomes
yeah,
very
and
produced.
it
And
also,
this band obviously rips,
oh yeah,
and it obviously has an edge to it. So you don't want to lose. Jello would, I predicted that Jello would.
I have a feeling that this sounds different than their live show, which is the thing that having worked with a band that did a record that was like a rap hip hop record or like a hip hop record, like hip hop punk record, and they're while I did it's not to say that I don't like the recording version of it as well. Their live show is a completely different feel to it, and it was almost a little bit too clean from what their actual live show was. I think it misrepresented them to some people, which is the thing that I kind of get from this a little bit is that it may be like I'm at least my my like fanciful idea of this because I've never seen you guys. I don't know anything else about the band at all. But like my idea is this is probably more of a raw, energetic live show. And that doesn't necessarily like that does come through somewhat, but it almost feels like you kind of polished off a little bit too much of that. And I would have loved to be like, I want a little bit more feeling in my face of this.
Yeah, and I
So
mean, Gabriel, we're being hard on you
yeah, I'm being hard on you because
because
I like this a lot. I actually was like,
because
I want more.
this is good,
Um,
and it was like it's you guys clearly know what you're doing. You're tight as hell.
oh
You
yeah, I
know,
mean like
it's solid. I do think Jello will. I'm gonna listen to the rest of it. I think he's gonna want to listen to the rest of it. I don't know what his reaction will be, but
Yeah,
like
I
it
don't. I can
sounds
only.
impressive. It's going to be really, I think a live show would be really crucial.
Yeah, that would be my thing. Is like I would need to see them live. I would need to see what else is going on with them. I mean, they've done three EPs. That's cool. Like you guys sound like you're just starting out too a little bit. Like it does sound like you guys have worked with some awesome people to get like this kind of production that early and stuff
Yeah, I
too.
mean,
So like
I'm looking
it's
at their
cool.
stuff, and it
Yeah,
does seem like they are either newer or just starting to get out there
yeah. Which
because
nothing wrong with
Um,
that. But
there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, obviously, when you're a label like us, like when
yeah,
we do, just so people keep in mind, when we pick up
yeah,
something like Moms with Bangs, who is a young band that hasn't toured, and so, that's a certain amount of investment in time
yeah,
and faith in that the band will rise up and continue to help develop because it costs a lot of money to put out a record
yeah,
and promote it and carry it and keep it and sell it to people and try and convince people in Kansas to
mm,
buy the record for a band that has never been to Kansas,
yeah,
and we don't know when they're going to be in Kansas, like that's something I have to remind people is that, Alternative Tentacles, has a finite amount of resources
yep,
and every release we do is on a global scale. So we're trying to sell it to everybody. So if you aren't doing touring and you don't come in with a big audience, that is a big leap for us. But I
yeah,
definitely think, at least from that track, there's a lot here, and I want to hear the rest of it.
yeah,
I do think this would go with what we have. I think it would go with Tsunami Bomb really well, at least
yeah. I
from that
like this.
track. That is a very Tsunami Bomb.
Yeah, you guys
Like
are in. I could see Death Hymn a little bit. I could see some other stuff.
Death
Like there's,
Hymn,
I think there's some
Death Hymn
stuff
number
here.
nine, which just
Yeah,
came back and down in Southern California. They are
yeah. I was just thinking of
fantastic.
other LA bands that were around there too. And I was like, I think that this is like,
DFMK.
yeah, DFMK. I think like obvious, like that one's an obvious one. It's just one of those things to me. It's like, I think this could fit well with us. I think this is definitely the most like on the nose for where AT is currently at. Oddly,
Yeah, yeah.
but like not in a. But I also think maybe in certain ways like that also like that's a good thing and a bad thing because it's also something that like where like sometimes Jello will be like that it's just we've already got that kind of in a way and it's like oh okay well that's because he's definitely seen like where he's commented on other things where he's like oh well this band does this way and I like this better and it's like
I mean, he
okay
did that.
well
He did
yeah
that in kind of a way that kind of bummed me
yeah
out with Loudgraves
yeah
because it is a female-fronted band that I
that
am
was a
in, that I do writing, and he's
yeah
going like, "Well, we have Tsunami Bomb, so why do we need Loudgraves?" And he did change his attitude with that a little bit, but
he did I
it
did think it was
wasn't.
hilarious
It was an initial. His initial response is, "Why do Loudgraves when I'm waiting for new Tsunami Bomb stuff?" So
yeah
you
but
know, just so you guys know that are
yeah
listening, like anything he says and does about other bands, you should hear the things that he tells us who get to hear it from him firsthand about our bands and our projects. He doesn't pull any punches just because
Oh
you're on
yeah.
AT.
I don't even think he like I don't even know like some of the art that I've made. He's never commented on certain things that I've done that is not like for AT specifically. So it's just
Yeah.
always funny to me that I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's for him. I don't and I've also I did I know he doesn't like pink. So I've done and John's also done this sometimes where things will be like we'll do something in pink just to kind of like poke a little bit.
Mm.
Like my bat is pink and red because of that. I was like, I'm gonna do it this way because I think I want to poke a little bit and see what he says. See if he says anything. He never did, but it was just kind of one of those things where I'm like, he like said he didn't like pink like before that. I was doing that, and I was like,
That's pretty funny.
well, it's like one of those things. I don't know. Like
Well,
we all like to have fun, so
I will say we didn't get as far into the amount of songs that
yeah,
we were sent as I thought we would because, and I do in our defense, I think we're taking everything very seriously and we are giving it all a conversation. And this is a podcast, so we are talking
yeah,
through it. I love everything that we were sent. I want to thank
yeah.
everybody. We're going to have to wrap this up because this episode's going long. So good news is there's going to be more episodes of this. I hope you all
At
enjoyed it.
this rate, we're gonna have to the end of the year to probably get
Yeah,
through
we're gonna
this.
have 8 episodes, but no, I think we'll get
Yeah,
next episode. We'll try and be a little bit more
like I think
verbose. Like
less
we'll try and
verbose. Yeah, we'll get through this.
yeah, we'll try and get through a
Yeah,
few more than this. But honestly, I want to thank Scott Foster and Laughing Matter. I want to thank Christopher Purcell and the Unmarked Tapes. I want to thank the Hammerbombs and everybody connected to it. You guys are great. All of you were great. And I really want to thank Escupiendo Verdades. I really like
yeah,
this, Gabriel. I think you have a really strong, impressive band. I know we took a little bit of shots at your the way the album was recorded, but I would predict that coming to AT, it would need to be a little bit grittier. He would
Yeah.
want that, but I think that you have something going
Al-
on. You sent
al-
us
Also, just
a bunch
note
of
we're
songs.
talking about the mixing and not the songwriting or anything else too for you.
I
Like,
have
just
no
think of it that.
notes.
Yeah, think of it this way: is like when we're commenting on mixing things, those are like things where it's like these are like we're like okay, the song's great. Like where like the mix is something that we're like this should be differently slightly. Like there are other songs where you'd see us talk about like the song composition a little bit more, and like some of the other ones maybe later we'll talk some about that. But like I have to say, when I'm talking about mixing issues and stuff like that, usually like I'm like, okay, the song's fine. I haven't been like, oh, the chorus just
Yeah,
doesn't hit at all or something.
we're being
Like,
pretty particular. They sent
yeah,
6 songs, so I'm definitely going to listen to the others. And all of you,
yeah,
including the Hammerbombs, we are sending everything over to make sure Jello has it and knows that
yeah.
we've talked about it. I think it was really great. This was a really good start. We got a DIY project that was kind of a hardcore band out of the Bay Area that I think is really cool and a really great
Nice.
start. I think that Laughing Matter is off to a great start. We got a really amazing art project that's noise experimental song from the Unmarked Tapes out of Akron, Ohio. We have a really awesome party, the best party, drunken party punk rock pop
Yeah.
band that you've ever heard in the Hammerbombs out of Oakland, California, and out of Los Angeles by way of Guadalajara, we have Escupiendo Verdades. And this is like, I know it's supposed to be punk, hardcore, rock, and other genres, but I mean,
Yeah.
it felt like a lot of Sisters of Mercy in there. That's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard a lot of good version of that, but I think you guys took it in a really good direction and made me want to hear more. And I want to see your live show. So
Oh yeah. I would love to. I was like, dang, if you guys are coming up to the Bay at some point, mostly 'cause I just don't know when I'm in LA next, but like that would be cool. I would love to see you guys up here.
I'm going to
Um,
contact everybody.
Also,
I'll
maybe I'll
follow
hit.
up with everyone that's on this episode. So you guys will be hearing from us before we post this episode. So,
I wonder if
but
Crisis Actor knows them at all.
yeah,
Um,
we should look into it. But anyway,
Yeah,
we'll
sorry. It
definitely
was one
reach
of those
out.
things where I was like, I wonder, like, if anyone's who do I know in LA that might have seen them or been in a similar scene? Because I want
Yeah,
to know.
everything we played today, I was really impressed with in
Yeah,
one way, shape, or form. And I think that all of you are really brave for sending it into this. And I
yeah,
hope that some of the people listening seek it out. I think these are all really important. I'm really proud of everybody.
yeah. Thanks you
I'm
guys for
excited.
taking a chance. Like, because
We,
you like you never know what you're gonna get with us. It could have been, and we never know what we're getting, which is also something I enjoy walking in completely blind to these.
yeah,
I barely even looked at the band names before Dominic told me what they were about or anything like this. So,
no, I
like,
listened only enough to know that I got the recording and then I
yeah,
uploaded it.
because
Some people made me buy it. They sent me stuff that I couldn't download, and so
oh,
I bought.
yeah, that's
Just so
cool.
everyone knows, I did buy some. I don't. I wish you would have sent me ones I could download, but like when you didn't, I we went ahead and paid $1 or we paid whatever to
Yeah,
get it download.
but
So we are
please
trying to
don't do that in
support
the
you
future.
guys.
If you just
Send
send
us the
us,
stuff.
it makes it a lot easier because that like had I known that I probably would have been like, nope, made it too hard. Because if it was me doing it, I would have been like, that sucks to be
Yeah.
you. Follow the rules, kind of in a
No,
way,
but
like a little bit.
I
But
wanted to make sure
oh
that
yeah,
like if the point of this is to try and support
totally,
artists outside of what we already do,
yeah.
then I want to support artists that outside of what we already do. So anyway,
No, you're
thank you to
correct. Don't get me
everybody.
wrong. I'm just saying that if it would have been me, I probably would have been like, there's like 16 of these things. We got plenty of time. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
Somebody
you
else
got
do
to be
something else.
careful. And just so everyone knows, we have
Yeah,
to burn these to a CD.
yeah,
So Jello, that's one of his rules. It needs to be an actual physical thing. Anyway, I'll be in touch
yeah,
with all the artists we played. We got a bunch more for you on a future episode. I hope you
yeah.
enjoyed our conversations and our take. I want to thank everybody again for sending it. I want to thank Freya for making time to be here this
Yeah,
week.
I
I'm
enjoy.
really
This is
excited.
fun. This is
Yeah.
the fun things to work on. This is like when, like getting to do part of Jello's job versus like the nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah,
So
it was really great. I hope everybody
yeah,
enjoyed the conversations and kind of the insight of what our thought process is in regards to this stuff. And we got a lot more. We got a lot more to
yeah,
show you. And I know it was just 4. Hopefully, we'll be a little bit faster. But thank you all for being here. This is the first episode of the demo derby. We'll definitely be doing a few more. And thank you so much. Yeah, I think I should mention, I think we've accepted everything that we're going to accept, so we're going to tap off for now, because we have
yeah,
plenty of episodes to do, but then we will do this again in the future, so.
yeah. I think doing rounds of this is usually going to be like the best way to do it because it also
Yeah.
means like when we're burning CDs and doing other stuff, it like I mean, I know Jello goes
It's a
through a
bit
lot
of
of
extra
music.
work.
Yeah, it is, but it's also just like making sure that everything's organized because Jello likes it in specific ways to make sure that he understands what he's getting. Because getting him just a CD that says a band name and nothing about the tracks or anything like that, I totally get that. So he has no context for it. So I get wanting to have context around some of this stuff. So yeah, that's just understanding like that there are extra back end work that we can't do like 100 songs or anything like that. So like, as much as I would love to, like if this was my only job, I could sit here and do this all day long. But
Oh yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing more.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you everyone for coming and listening to this episode and watching this episode on YouTube. It'll be available obviously on our Patreon first, and then the video will be available to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to all of our artists, everyone who submitted stuff. We have a lot more. It's going to be great. Freya, thank you. And this is Alternative Tentacles bATcast. My name is Dominic Davi. We will be back for more next time.
Bye.
Take care.